Why can't we just put Maguire up front for playing out? Because guess what? He wins 100 times more of those duels than anybody else in a Manchester United shirt. Why not have just something straight out of the Big Sam playbook?
Hello and welcome to Stretford Paddock. My name is Joe and that is Stephen Howson, and today we are talking about Manchester United versus Tottenham. The season falls down to one single game and we're going to work through what the game's going to be like and how we can beat Tottenham. Sound good? It does sound good, Steve. Come on. How nervous are you, first of all?
I'm not yet.
Are you not?
No.
Oh, I am.
Pretty sure I will be by the time I get the team. Once the team's out, it's real then, isn't it?
Yeah. And there should be a few players returning. I think we saw Xerxes, we saw Yoro, we saw Dallo back in training today. I don't know who will be ready to start or play.
What's the best news you can get in that team news tomorrow?
I don't know. I think probably Yoro. What do you think?
I think Yoro's gonna play. I think because it looked like a bone injury, they're either right or not right. I don't think you train and it improves. I think you're good to go or you're not good to go. So I think he will play. I think it's Xerxes, mate.
Xerxes.
Running down the ramp.
Off the bench or starting?
That's Joshua Xerxes' music.
Just coming out of that. That would be so good.
Because like with how abysmally shit Rasmus Højlund has been, what a boost to the travelling hordes it would be if it's like he's not even playing and Xerxes is,
I mean, it would be
if he's got 45 in him, it's worth the risk.
Yeah. Well, he was training today and he spoke about wanting to be back for the final. I think he must have 45 in him. He must have. But
would you start him or bring him on?
I'd probably bring him on just because I know Tottenham can start strongly. And we can go through that. Obviously, we're going to talk about some previous games with Tottenham. We're going to talk about how to exploit their weaknesses and also this kind of ethereal finals trophy winning thing that we can't really put our finger on but clearly is there. So let's start with that. Major finals. United have won 2 of their last 3 finals, FA Cup, Carabao Cup, in backwards chronological order. One thing that I think helped us specifically in that Newcastle game was the sort of big game temperament. I know a lot of those players, or some of those players aren't here anymore, but a lot of them still are here. I went through the squad and there's a decent number of them still playing for Manchester United. Casemiro in particular was brilliant that day, scored a goal in the game, and also has kind of, I wouldn't say he's back to his best, but certainly the whole leave the football before the football leaves you conversation has well and truly shut up in the last few weeks. How important is the fact that we've won trophies in the last couple of years going to be in this, do you think?
Going off what people with this experience say, you need winners in your team, you need people who've been there, you need people who've done it. You can only presume that there's something in that. And that's something that you see a lot of people reference a lot. We have won a few finals recently. And in this absolute banter period that we find ourselves in, of the last decade, it would be a true golden era for some teams.
Most teams.
So, I think it has to play a factor. I think the ability to get over the line, I think the whole lads it's Tottenham thing, how many times do you reckon that gets said in the WhatsApp group of the players at Tottenham? When just anything goes wrong. Toilet won't flush, lads it's Tottenham. Like just whatever it is.
Or this is a bit Spursy. Or like the fact that they are the punchline to 2 different sort of footballing banter jokes is a bit mad, isn't it? That must mean something.
It has to.
It sort of does.
All they've won in my lifetime, at least anyway, I can remember, is did they win the cup with Gaza in? Was it 91, 91?
I think they won. Wasn't the Cup Winners' Cup? I think it might.
In the 60s.
I'm not sure.
I'm 41, Joe.
Sorry. You don't remember the 60s? Let me double check.
So 2009 they beat us.
Yeah, of course.
Annoyingly.
Yeah.
In a game that we actually played. Didn't Ben Foster play in that?
I think he did.
So it wasn't a game that we took super serious. Prior to that, did they win in 91 with Gazza's team, or did Forest?
They won the FA Cup.
Right. So that's all they've won in my time of being they might have won something in the 80s, but I only started going in 99, so I only count from then onwards.
Yeah.
That's all they've won in my football watching time, and I'm pretty old. So I think lads it's Tottenham and a bit Spurs is I mean, didn't they come fucking third in a 2-horse race as well, under Poch?
Yeah.
And that was a really good team.
It was a really good team. And it was Leicester that beat them as well. I know that was also a good Leicester team, but it wasn't like they lost to the 100-point Man City. It was one of the lowest points totals we've seen in 20 years.
Yeah, so I think the fact that United have managed to get the job done the last couple of years, and United have been better, seemingly, in bigger games. Now, we've been better in bigger games. We've been better in Europe. This is technically a big game in Europe, but it's against a team 17th in the league from England.
Yeah.
That's like our kryptonite at the moment. But I also think, I mean, on one hand, they're not going to sit back against us. That's a positive for us.
Yeah.
On the other hand is, well, they're probably going to score, and they're probably going to score a couple because that's what they do. Can we score?
Yeah. Because
we don't tend to do that.
Well, we saw in that 4-3 game in the Carabao, obviously the other cup competition we faced them in this season where we lost, they scored 4 goals and they did it from an XG of, do you remember? 0.67.
No, it wasn't, Joe.
It absolutely was.
Oh my God.
So United scored 3 of our own goals from 2.56 XG, kind of what you'd expect. But it was 2 goalkeeping sort of disaster classes, wasn't it?
Oh, that's not going to happen tomorrow anyway, is it? Definitely not. Fucking hell.
What hopefully won't happen is Heung-min Son scoring directly from a corner, which he did in that game, which obviously was a 0 point, however many zeros you want, 1 XG chance. But they did score 4 goals from 0.67 XG, which again, you'd have to hope won't be replicated tomorrow. But what they do is score goals. And I think in the Premier League, there's only a handful of teams that have scored more than Tottenham, even though they're one place above the relegation zone. You mentioned before about United against bigger teams. I know Tottenham aren't a big team, but this is a big game, and they're a famous team, a big name in British football.
Well, look how many letters are in it. It's a massive win on Scrabble.
Yeah.
Tottenham Hotspur.
It's absolutely massive. Exactly. Against Liverpool this season, I know we didn't win the game, but we went to Anfield when they were absolutely flying. It's easy to look back now and think of this Liverpool now.
That was the best Manchester United performance at Anfield outside of Anfield, I think.
Yeah, it was 2-2. We should have won that game. It was Maguire, wasn't it, with that tricky sort of half volley in the last second that would have won us the game. But they were flying. I think they were unbeaten all season except for that game against Forest. And United were struggling, and we went there and put it on them. Dalot tortured Trent Alexander-Arnold down that side. Who hasn't? But, he's still, Real Madrid won him. Very good performance. Then I think a week or so later, we played, or very shortly after, we played Arsenal in the FA Cup. I don't remember what round it was, 5th round potentially. Again, away from home, and we won that game. Again, another good performance. A little bit back to the wall at times, but not...
And we're expecting a bumming as well in that game.
We were, because again, they were also flying. It was Liverpool and Arsenal, top 2 in the league, both going for it at that time. And
not so much about not losing to City, because, everyone's took points off them this season. They've been shizzle.
Yeah, and we did play them at a time where they were struggling. But the other 2 games, United were playing against the best 2 teams in England and 2 of the best teams in Europe.
I'm fully expecting to lose.
And not just didn't lose, won 1 and played really well against Liverpool. Do you think that has to be a mindset thing, surely? Because it's not just like, for some reason, Wolves are better at a better matchup against us than Liverpool away. That has to be a mindset thing.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. It could be. It could be the fact that our lads were up for it, and a team that goes for you and doesn't put as many behind the ball happens to help our crap ability to break a team down in somewhat, or you're just coming up against less resistance in the defensive side of stuff. But at the same time, those teams at the top, they generally have pretty good defences because the way they hold the ball. But we didn't go and play off the back foot entirely. We went and took the ball at both Anfield and Emirates, I think. It was either 50-50 or we just edged it, I think, pretty much. So that was interesting. I remember thinking at the time that that's actually quite interesting. It's not like we've had 18% possession and nicked something here. Like, we've gone toe-to-toe and done okay, actually. It's those games against everybody else outside of the relegation candidates where you just go, I don't know what the fuck has gone on here.
Yeah, that game against Liverpool, United had 47% possession, so essentially even in terms of possession.
Go look at what we had under Jose in that.
Yeah, it was half that or thereabouts. Let's move on to our record specifically against Tottenham then, because that is something that is genuinely a little bit disastrous. We've lost 4 of the last 5, no wins in the last 6 against them either. We haven't beaten since the 19th of October 2022, so 2.5 years, which again, for a long time, United couldn't lose to Tottenham. We were looking before, between the end of 2001 and 2012, United didn't lose a single game against a Tottenham side that was almost always at least a top half team.
It's unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. Obviously spawning the old lads, it's Tottenham phrase. One of the things that we've struggled with in this spell against Tottenham is their midfield and overrunning our midfield with their energy. And I think that obviously Van der Ven isn't a midfielder, but it kind of summed up the issues we had against them. He runs from inside his own half to our goal line, squares the ball, and it's 1-0 after 2 minutes. But that energy and intensity in the middle of the pitch has been an absolute sort of game changer for Tottenham, hasn't it, under Ange?
Yes, and it's also their undoing.
So how do we use that against them rather than doing what's happened for the last 3 years, which is them using it to beat us?
I think that they're almost guaranteed to try and play out through the press, and they've stopped kind of going. The shapes that people create when they press are evolving constantly as this season's gone on. From the start of this season, we was like, there's a lot of goals from cock-ups seemingly happening more than ever, actually. And I'd love to see the stats at the end of this season, how many opposition goals came from you fudging out a playing out. But for me, Spurs seem to fuck this up all the time. And if I'm watching Spurs and going, right, how'd you beat this lot here? The first thing I'm thinking of is you get in a team, whether that's Dorgu, Ahmad, Mount, Bruno, whoever, and you just press, and you make sure that 4 or 5 with whoever the striker is, and they press and they go for it, and then you have a defensive setup behind, which is just waiting for if they do manage to play it through, and get at least +1 behind the ball. But they're going into the corner with it. A lot of teams always sort of avoided that area at the side of the box. They'll happy to play inside the 6-yard box, draw you on. There's always the ability to go out. Teams at the moment, and Spurs are a big one for this, have started going into that area there. And I think the reason that people are going into that area at the side of the goal, like literally level with a 6-yard box in the corner, I think it's because pressers go, get him. Because it's a shit situation to be in.
Trapped on 2 sides.
And I think that there's maybe a condensing of the press coming in there, which if you can play over that or around that, you're up and you're running against less opposition probably. Yeah. So I think there's a very much a desire to play and bait you into coming and pressing them in those areas, but they're losing the ball in those areas a lot, and I think they're conceding goals straight from them fuck ups. So I go with the likes of Mount and Bruno and Dorgu and Ahmad and lads who get amongst it in terms of winning their duels. And I say, free rein, chase them down, and let's turn something over in their third, around their box, and just get shots off that way. Because if you're asking United to build up through anything else, I don't really know how we do it.
And obviously the front guys are incredibly important for that, but I think Yoro as well, he, as the season's gone on, is getting better and better at pressing up with his man. So if they try and play that ball over, or they get the first one and try and knock it on or whatever, go long from there, I think he closes his man down and pushes up a lot better than Lindelof does, for instance. He's
also got the wheels to run in behind if need be, and I think if it's Brendan Johnson, which I suspect it will be, that he'll be running up against, he matches up pretty well. Well, maybe not pretty well, because Brendan Johnson's a fucking problem this season, but I think he matches up better than anyone else we've got. I think that's safe to say. So I think that's an asset that United can look to. And the injuries to the midfield for Tottenham is going to be quite important for us. Maddison and Kulusevski being the headlines, but that's not all that they're missing. They're going to have a bit of a rotated midfield, which might have a little bit less control, a little bit less energy. And I think midfield is going to be everything in this game. Yeah,
there's also Timo Werner out as well. Bergvall looks like he's probably going to be out.
Bergvall's a big one. Timo Werner, I don't think anyone gives a fuck about. So,
but he was pretty good against. Was it Dallo he did well against, or Yoro? One of them over on that right hand side, he actually skinned him a couple of times, getting crosses in there. He didn't I think he missed all of his big chances, but he had some big chances. Yeah, that's Timo Werner in a nutshell, isn't it? You mentioned about how we can get goals, how we can win, hopefully by pushing them, pressing them, winning the ball high up. And I think, like you said, Ahmad is great at that. I think there was a point when he got injured, I think he'd had more goals directly from his turnovers than either in the Premier League or certainly than Man United, of United's players. He's fantastic at that. In terms of avoiding loss, because I do think it's almost like stopping them and then making it yourself. Our press resistance is a bit of an issue at times, I think, and our ability to play out from the back is an issue at times, especially against those, teams like Bournemouth, Brentford, Tottenham this season and the last couple. We've really struggled to just get out. Do you think we'll do something different? Do you think we'll maybe put Xerxes and go long, or do you think we're just going to hope that we
Xerxes
is
not great at his duels either?
No, that's true.
Like, I don't know. Why can't we just put Maguire up front for playing out? We take that long to organise from playing out. Why wouldn't anyone try it?
Because then you've got to play Lindelof, Shaw and Mazraoui as your back three.
No, I'm not talking about playing him up front. I'm talking about the place that you'll see people changing positions. Like Lenny Yoro at the moment goes and stands in the 6.
Okay.
He doesn't stand where a centre half is meant to stand when you're playing out.
Yeah.
Like, because it takes fucking 3/4 of an hour anyway, why don't you just go and put Maguire on the halfway line for every goal kick? Why can't you do that?
Yeah, you can.
Because guess what? He wins 100 times more of those duels than anybody else in a Manchester United shirt.
Yeah.
Or if you didn't want to be quite as drastic, why not Casemiro?
Casemiro, yeah.
Why can't we do that? Why can't we identify someone that's really good in the air? Because I tell you what, going to Dorgu, who does okay, but he's usually up against fullbacks, or Ahmad, which is mental, and I know he does okay, and I don't know why, because he's that big.
Yeah.
But Højlund, Xerxes, Bruno, we might as well just fucking send it for a throw-in, because that's where it's going. Like, we do not win those. So why not have just something straight out of the Big Sam playbook? Who's my big fella? Kick at him.
Yeah.
Like, one of the most frustrating things about Onana is, if anybody that watched that European Cup final, where he basically played in the fucking 6, it was like Pirlo. It was spraying balls all over the place.
Yeah, it was.
We don't see that from him anymore. At all, actually.
You think that's by instruction or by his confidence?
I don't know.
Yeah.
But like, if you had a target for him to hit, or if anybody ran in behind, I'd love to see him just put in one just in between the fullback and the centre half for Ahmad or for Dorgu. Just teasing so they don't play not quite. Am I going for that or am I going for the man? Like, just a nice teasing one in there that can run a little bit long, or to go direct to someone that can actually win a fucking header. Look at how Crystal Palace scored at the weekend.
Yeah. Mateta.
Do you know what I mean?
Just proper old school hold-up play.
City are pressing the cock off you. What are we going to do?
Go over them.
Yeah, what Man United going to do? Send it for a fucking throw-in. Yeah. Like, you want to know how you win a game or you don't lose a game? You have a reliable outlet. Yeah, let's try and play out. Oh, they're pressing us a little bit. All right, send it up to Slabhead. Like, and the ball's going to be in play for 30 seconds, 20 seconds, 10 seconds tops before it goes out for a throw-in, and then just switching back in. Why can't we do that? It'd be exciting
if they did something like that. That's the sort of thing managers used to do. It feels like managers don't do stuff like that anymore, because if it goes wrong, you look like a Sunday League manager.
Yeah, but for the entire fucking season, we've been sending it up to people that need step ladders to get a newspaper. Yeah. Like, it's absolutely ludicrous how we've been... Like, we've made Onana look horrendous with his distribution. I know he's not horrendous with his distribution.
No.
Like, let's have something that he can fucking aim at that's reliably going to win something. Like... Maybe Maguire's too giddy. I'd try it.
Yeah.
Can we not try it in training? Or yes, maybe Casemiro's less, because maybe you position you switch him and Bruno around in the playing out. No one's going to clock that. No one's going to notice that. No one's going to think that's a bit weird.
And now Casemiro's on the edge of the centre circle and he's nodding it out wide for Ahmad or whoever.
Now you're when you put that ball down for a goal kick, what you need to be thinking is, they don't get a fucking shot from this restart and we cross the halfway line. We do that, we've done our job. Right? You can't be expected to go and score every time you have a goal kick. You can't be expected to get a shot every time you get a goal kick. But you should be like, we need to cross the halfway line. We cross the halfway line, you're back in play then, aren't you? And you've done what you need to do. Cross the halfway line should be the goal. Every time he puts that ball down on that fucking 6-yard line, we get across the halfway line, they don't shoot. You do that for the entire game, you've eliminated like the major fuck up that people are conceding goals on.
Yeah. In terms of how you think this game is going to go, I know we don't know exactly. I think Bergvall has travelled with Tottenham. I know Yoro, and it looks like we said before, Xerxes, Dallo will travel for United. Who knows how much minutes they've got in the tank. How do you think this is actually going to pan out as it stands right now with sort of just over 24 hours to go?
Half of me thinks that because people are expecting a high-scoring game, you're looking at a 0-0, someone grabs something near the end sort of game.
Yeah.
I was in the barbers earlier and everyone's going, I'll tell you this, I know it'll be an exciting game. And I'm going, every time I've heard that, it's a bore fest.
Yeah.
And finals generally are. But with Ange and Amorim, you know, I do think that people have got a point when they say it probably will be exciting. Fuck knows. Both managers absolutely need this.
Yeah. Do you think it makes a difference that, I think for Ange, his reputation will change obviously a bit and they'll love him for winning them a trophy and all that, but we saw what happened to David Moyes at West Ham. The winning of the trophy celebrations only last so long, and then eventually we need to go further in the Premier League. I feel like he's an extra year into this project. They have sort of failed this season and maybe, you know, are getting sick of him, whereas Amorim, yes, some people are getting sick of him, but he hasn't even had a summer transfer window yet. Do you think the sort of respective momentum or kind of position in their project of the two managers will play a difference? Because the players know, even if we win this, he might be sacked. Whereas I think for United, it's like, this is actually the start of something if we can win this.
Yeah. It's a matter. I don't think Spurs would sack him if he did win something. I know that West Ham did, which was mental to me. But I don't think Spurs will.
Okay.
I think they're a little bit more methodical, and they've not really been trigger happy with their managers, I don't think. And I think if you've delivered like only your third trophy in 35 years. I don't know, it was West Ham's first since they won the World Cup or something. Yeah. I think
that's exactly it. Yeah, since they won the World Cup. Yeah.
I don't know. Same with Leicester.
Yeah.
Claudio Ranieri should have been able to take Leicester to the fucking Midlands League if he wanted to, after winning them a title.
He got sacked the season after.
It's insane, isn't it?
Moyes got sacked the season after.
Managers winning stuff and then going to see, like, I know we've just done it with Erik ten Hag, but I wasn't on the board that did that.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and we did it the same day with Louis van Gaal. Put that trophy down and the other word. Like, it's insane to me that.
Yeah.
Because I remember when United won the league, it happened.
Once.
But it was in colour as well. I remember that when United won the league, that sacking managers wasn't something that entered my 9-year-old head. Like, that wasn't a thing. He was the manager. These are the players. We sign some players sometimes. Sometimes he plays Lee Sharp. Sometimes he doesn't play Lee Sharp. But, like, you don't know the politics of things like that. I remember my dad saying he can stay as long as he wants now when Fergie, when we won the league. Really distinct memory of my dad saying
93 this.
Yeah. He stay as long as he wants now. And you don't understand the significance of something like that at 9 years of age. Yeah. But that's something that I've always sort of took with me. If you win the league with a football club, how dare they fucking sack you? Like, are you now not good enough when you, like...
Yeah.
What's the chances that you're just suddenly not good enough? It makes no fucking sense.
You were good enough, and you beat everyone around, but now you're not. 6 months later, 12 months later...
It makes no sense.
You've decided you're actually not good enough to do that thing you've already done once, a second time.
Yeah.
Massive game. Give me a score prediction, Steve. Give me one. Come on.
I think 2-1.
Oh, United.
It's the most common score in football, so I know I've really fucking gone out on a limb there. Yeah, United.
Good luck. All right. Cheers, Steve.
I feel like we might go behind though.
God, I feel sick. I actually feel sick when I talk about this game.
But you can see that though, can't you?
You can.
You can see United going behind, but the way that the fucking fighting us this season has been sensational.
In the Cups.
Leon especially. What the fuck?
That was amazing. I've never obviously 99 in terms of the magnitude, but I've never seen those sequence of events happen in a more extreme way than that game.
3 goals in 5 minutes.
Yeah, there was 5 goals scored in extra time. They scored 2 and we scored 3 in 7, I think it was. I've never seen that on any football pitch ever in my life. That's amazing.
I'm still taking a piss out of my dad if this goes in, I'm going. And he should have done.
Yeah.
And he was right to, but he was wrong to, but he was right to. Because it's over.
Yeah. Well, they scored their penalty.
Yeah, you're 2 goals down in extra time, and we are as bad as we've been this season. Who the fuck genuinely thought we're still in this? Yeah. If you'd have uttered those, we're still in this. People are just sat like, shut me, dickhead. Yeah. Honestly, no, we're not. But then when you get the first and you go, hold up now.
Maybe. And it feels a little bit sort of cringe to say it, but I think of all fans, United fans can say, it's never over with Man United. It actually isn't. And we have a history of it not being over. hopefully we can pull something out of the bag tomorrow night. Thank you very much for joining us, everyone. Thank you, Steve. Get your thoughts in the comments below. How are we going to beat Tottenham if we are to beat Tottenham? We'll see you in a bit.